Wealthy woman's red Rolls Royce breaks down until a kind mechanic changed her night forever. Sometimes life has a way of teaching us lessons in the most unexpected places. This is the story of a wealthy woman, her luxurious red Rolls Royce, and the night everything changed. Not because of her car, not because of her wealth, but because of the kindness of a stranger. Her name was Veronica. She was a woman people noticed everywhere she went. In her early 40s, elegant, confident, and surrounded by the aura of wealth. Veronica lived in a mansion on the hill, the kind with tall gates, fountains, and chandeliers that sparkled brighter than most people's futures. Her garage was filled with luxury cars, Mercedes, Bentleys, even a Lamborghini. But her favorite, her absolute pride, was her red Rolls Royce Phantom. It wasn't just a car. To her, it was a symbol of her success, her independence, her status in a world where she believed only the powerful survived. That night, Veronica had been driving through the city after a lavish dinner party. The streets shimmered with neon lights, the sound of jazz spilling from restaurants, people laughing on sidewalks. Inside her car, the leather smelled rich, the dashboard glowed softly, and she sipped from a crystal water bottle, feeling untouchable. But life has its way of humbling the proud. It started with a sound, a faint clicking beneath the hood. She frowned, glancing at the dashboard. Then the engine sputtered. The powerful machine began to lose its strength. The speedometer needle dropped. "Not now," she muttered, tapping the steering wheel. Within seconds, her magnificent Rolls Royce came to a complete stop on a nearly empty road. Surrounded only by dim streetlights and the sound of crickets, Veronica stepped out. Her heels clicked against the pavement. She tried calling her chauffeur, but he was off duty. She tried calling her so-called friends from the dinner party, but none picked up. The truth sank in. For the first time in years, she was stranded, alone. The night was darker than she realized. And suddenly, her world of luxury seemed fragile. As she stood there, frustrated and helpless, headlights appeared in the distance. A modest pickup truck slowed down and pulled over. From it stepped a man, his hands covered in grease, his clothes rough from work. His name was Daniel. A mechanic who had just finished his late shift and was heading home. "Car trouble?" he asked, his voice steady but kind. Veronica hesitated. She looked at him. Dirty clothes, rugged boots, calloused hands. He was everything her world didn't mix with. But she had no choice. "Yes," she said coldly. "It just stopped." Daniel nodded. "Mind if I take a look?" She wanted to refuse. After all, this was her Rolls Royce, worth more than most people's houses. But the situation forced her. She gave a reluctant nod. Daniel lifted the hood and inspected the engine with the calm focus of a man who had seen hundreds of broken cars before. Veronica watched impatiently, crossing her arms, tapping her heel. "Is it serious?" she asked sharply. "Relax," he said with a half smile. "It's not dead, just tired." "You've been ignoring some warning signs." "I don't ignore anything," she snapped. Daniel chuckled softly. "The car disagrees." She stared at him, annoyed by his calmness. But something in his tone disarmed her. After about 15 minutes of checking wires, tightening bolts and coaxing the engine, Daniel managed to restart the car. The purr of the engine filled the silence. "There you go," he said, wiping his hands with an old rag. "Should be fine for now, but you'll need a proper service soon." Veronica let out a sigh of relief. For the first time that night, she felt safe again. "How much do I owe you?" she asked, pulling out her wallet. Daniel shook his head. "Nothing." "Nothing?" She repeated, confused. "I didn't stop for money. I stopped because you needed help. That's all." She blinked, not used to hearing such words. In her world, everything had a price. Everyone wanted something. "Are you sure?" she pressed. He smiled. "Yes. Just drive safe, all right?" Veronica sat back in her car, but something inside her shifted. She couldn't drive away just yet. "Wait," she said suddenly, lowering the window. Daniel paused. "Why did you really stop?" she asked softly. Most people would have just driven past. He looked at her for a long moment, then answered, "Because once, a long time ago, I was stranded too, and someone stopped for me. That's the kind of thing you don't forget." His words sank deep into her heart. For years, Veronica had surrounded herself with wealth, but never with warmth. She had friends who toasted champagne with her, but none who would answer her calls when she truly needed help. Yet here was a man with nothing to gain, who gave without asking. As she drove off that night, the city lights reflecting on her polished red car, Veronica felt something she hadn't felt in years: humility. Days later, she found herself unable to stop thinking about Daniel, his simplicity, his kindness, his refusal to take money. She, a woman who thought everything could be bought, had been reminded that the most valuable things in life were free. A week later, her Rolls Royce began showing issues again. This time, instead of calling the official service center, she remembered the kind mechanic. After some effort, she tracked him down to a small, humble garage on the edge of town. When she pulled up in her shining Rolls Royce, people stared. Daniel looked up from under the hood of an old sedan, surprised to see her. "You again?" he said with a smile. "I need your help," she admitted, this time with humility. Over the next few hours, Daniel worked on her car while she waited in the dusty garage. For the first time, Veronica sat on a plastic chair instead of a velvet sofa. She drank from a paper cup instead of crystal. She talked to the workers, listened to their stories, and laughed genuinely. And for the first time, she felt human again. From that day forward, her life began to change. Veronica didn't abandon her wealth, but she no longer let it define her. She donated more, listened more, cared more. She visited Daniel's garage often, not always for car repairs, but sometimes just for conversation. And every time she looked at her red Rolls Royce, she didn't just see a symbol of her success anymore. She saw the night she broke down and the kindness that put her back on the road. Because sometimes, one act of selfless kindness is enough to change someone's night. And sometimes it's enough to change their life forever.